Hi, I'm Dr. Tracy Sands, owner of Healing Paws Veterinary Care. Today we're going to talk about puppy preventative care. Preventative care can mean so many things. It can mean keeping your puppy in a safe spot. It can mean vaccinating your puppy or immunizing your puppy against dangerous diseases. It can mean making sure that they're eating a healthy diet. Today, we're going to talk about preventative care as far as heartworms, fleas and ticks, and intestinal parasites. I want to just give you a little bit of an idea of why we want to protect from these diseases and then let you know some choices of how you can. Heartworms are exactly what they sound like, worms in the heart. And if you would like to be grossed out, go ahead and Google a picture of them. It literally looks like spaghetti in your heart. And as you can imagine, that is deadly. Those worms block the heart and then they break into pieces that float into the system. It's very, very dangerous, and treatment is really hard. Not to mention, when your pet is being treated for heartworm, they have to be under strict cage rest for 6 weeks or longer. It can be a really, really tough time in their lives. Plus, there are worms in their heart. So we definitely want to protect from heartworms. Where do they come from? They come from mosquitoes, and everybody has access to mosquitoes. Absolutely, the risk is higher if your pet lives in an area where there are swamps, rivers, tires with water in them, buckets with water in them, puddles. But think about the last time you smacked a mosquito. Might have been in your house. Dogs and cats in the house are just as at risk for a mosquito bite as those that are outside. It doesn't matter that he doesn't go outside very often. All it takes is one bite from a mosquito, and your pet can get deadly heartworm disease. Let's talk about fleas and ticks. Fleas and ticks are very common and really hardy. A lot of people think that fleas and ticks go away in the winter, but they can actually populate and breed and move at 35 degrees or higher. And in our mid-Atlantic area, we have plenty of winter days warmer than 35 degrees. The other important thing to remember is that fleas can jump very, very far, house lengths, in fact. And so, what are they going to do when it gets cold? Well, they're going to look for a nice warm place to hang out. They're going to hop on your socks and shoes. They're going to hop on your pet's collar. And they're going to take a ride in the house because it's warm in there. If you live in an apartment or close housing situation, or if you live in a more rural area and there are cats and squirrels and rabbits in your backyard, there are places for fleas to live, and they're going to look for a way to get into your house. Ticks are everywhere, and we used to think our pets were at risk for ticks just if we lived in the woods or there were high grasses. But what we know is that Lyme disease is spread so rapidly because ticks live on songbirds. So think about that bird feeder or bird bath your neighbor has next door. Think about that beautiful bush in your yard that the bird has a nest in. That's where the vector of the ticks is living. Those rabbits and squirrels in your backyard, they've got ticks too. So it's not just about deer or the woods. If your pet's going outside, they're at risk for getting ticks. And if they get a tick, not only can they get Lyme disease, which we're going to vaccinate for, but they could get many other diseases, Ehrlichia, anaplasmosis, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and more depending on where you live. So we want to protect from ticks. And lastly on this list is intestinal parasites. There are other things that our products can protect from, but these are the big three. Intestinal parasites that we're talking about today are the worms that many of us know about. Roundworms, hookworms, depending on your product, whipworms. They're the worms that your puppy is going to be exposed to because they're going to go outside and put dirt in their mouth. What puppy have you met that doesn't like to pick up things and taste them? And that's how those intestinal parasites are spread. Now, a lot of owners think that they can get intestinal parasites from puppy kisses. I do want to quell that myth. Intestinal parasites are spread fecal oral transmission. So from particles of stool, very, very small, but particles of stool to the mouth. So it's more commonly transmitted if you're petting your puppy and he has a little bit of stool and you don't realize it, or your child doesn't realize it, and then you go and eat some potato chips. I know it's really gross. Or We can also see dogs get it if they pick up a tennis ball outside and that tennis ball happened to roll through some fecal matter. You don't know it. You pick up the tennis ball, go about your day, get a piece of chewing gum. So it can absolutely be transmitted to humans, but I want you to know those puppy kisses have puppy breath, but they're not dangerous in most cases of intestinal parasites. We can absolutely catch those intestinal parasites other ways. So how do we protect our puppies? We have some options, and I like to talk about the big three: oral, which means by mouth, a collar, or a topical liquid. So for our there are some injectables. We're going to focus on the three most common. So for heartworm protection in our patients, we have oral and topical liquid options. We do not have a collar that protects from heartworm. We do have oral chews of different versions and brands, and then we have a topical liquid that can protect from heartworm. So depending on what your doctor recommends, they might prescribe something that takes care of heartworms, intestinal parasites, and fleas and ticks, or they might prescribe something that takes care of heartworms and intestinal parasites and then additional product for fleas and ticks. For fleas and ticks, we do have the options of oral, topical liquid, or a collar. For me personally, I like to recommend the oral chews, and there are a few reasons. One is it's very easy to get the oral chew into your pet, depending on the brand and the flavor, and know that they've received the whole thing. If you have a topical liquid, some of it might rub off. They might have really long hair and not absorb it well. The other dog might rub on it. Some are dangerous if your cat rubs on it. Or your kid might pet the dog, and then your kid got some of the liquid on, but your dog doesn't have what they need. So I like the oral chew because it goes in your puppy and you know it's there. The biggest reason I like oral chews is anything given by mouth has to be approved as safe by the FDA, the Federal Food and Drug Administration. Our topical liquids and collars are only go through approval through the EPA, the Pesticide Association. That is a different set of safety standards. And to get passed as an oral medication through the FDA, they have to have very stringent studies that show how they are safe for your pet. Sometimes you might read some more safety warnings and you think that product's not as safe. It's actually because it's had more testing, we know what to watch out for. For our oral products, some brands and medications need to be given with caution in our collie dogs. Ask your doctor about that, but there are many safe options. Also, for our oral products, if your puppy has a seizure disorder, we need to be careful with which brand we choose. Again, if you're spending time on the internet, you might think they cause seizures or they cause problems with collies. No, we just need to make good choices about which ones are safe for those particular pets. For fleas and ticks with the oral, liquid, and topical, we talked about oral for safety and ease of giving. The topical liquids are sometimes more affordable, sometimes not, but you do need to be very careful with the brand. There are many low-cost topical brands that actually can cause chemical burns. I've had puppies sadly lose all of the skin along their back because of using a flea and tick product found at a local big box store. So please ask your veterinarian before choosing a topical liquid so that we make sure it's safe and appropriately sized for your puppy. There are some excellent ones out there, but there are also some ones that can be really dangerous. Finally, with the collars, there are many collars out there that just aren't effective. They're essentially chemicals on a piece of plastic. There is one brand of collar, and I will share it, called Seresto. The Seresto collar works by the body heat coming into contact with the collar, and it does have excellent safety studies. There have been a few issues, and most of those have not been founded. They were kind of a social media excitement, and what turned out to be is there wasn't any data to really support that. The collar lasts for 8 months, so you have to be comfortable with having your pet have a collar with some chemicals on it, on their body for 8 months. If you need to go with a collar for budget, Seresto is the safest collar to use. I personally like to go with oral chews, and I'd be happy to discuss with you, as would any other veterinarian, what might be the best product for your pet. So let's hit that big three again: oral, topical, and a collar. Here at Healing Paws Veterinary Care, unless your puppy has a reason for it not to be safe, we are currently recommending Simparica Trio. It's one chew, and that chew most pets love. In fact, we love it better than the last chews you may have tried. It's really pretty easy to give and tasty. That one chew of Simparica Trio has safety studies for puppies as small as 2 pounds and 8 weeks old. That makes my heart feel good to know if we can give it to the teeny tinies safely. That chew will take care of 5 kinds of ticks, will take care of fleas, will take care of heartworms, and it will take care of intestinal parasites. All you have to do is give it to your puppy as a treat every 30 days year-round. So for me, if I can give something safe and tasty once every 30 days from a reminder on my phone, and I've got my puppy protected from these awful diseases, that's a win situation. If you want to know more about parasite prevention in your puppies, let us know at your next visit. This is Dr. Sands with Healing Paws Veterinary Care. Enjoy your puppy.